Okay, I thought I could finish it all in 10 minutes, but I'll just do a quick follow-up. There's a couple of things that you need to know for the first assignment. The first is the Show Me feature up here. I'll just create a new tab in this worksheet and click on the Show Me. Sometimes this gets in the way for me. I don't really use it much anymore, but it's a good way to get started. What you do to use this, and I'll drag this over here so that we can easily see it. What you do is just highlight, pick some of these fields in the data set. So I'm just going to pick them at random. So customer name, and then hold down Control so that you're selecting multiple. And then you see everything you select, it has these different recommendations. So select category. So now it's telling me I should either make a text table or a Gantt chart, and then let's add profit in here. And so once you add a measure, a whole lot of different options come up. So what your assignment's going to be is just creating a few show me charts out of here and seeing what they look like. So for this one, let's just pick any of these side-by-side circle chart. So let's see, it's just going to create a, just a default view. And sometimes it may not render right away. Usually this should render right away. But see, because you have customer name and there's so many different customers, it took it a while. So we can go ahead and drop that. So to drop it, you can just right click on it and say delete or remove. All right. Also, you notice there's a little drop down arrow that comes up the pill when you hover over it. Okay. Couple other things that I forgot to mention. Let me just look at the notes here. Duplicate. I think I showed you the duplicate and hurry in the last video. But if you just right click the sheet, you can see that it says duplicate sheet. Now this is good when you have a good view that you want to keep and you want to do something different to it and try something different, but you still want to keep the original view. So you duplicate it. And then you can start from this view and add some more stuff. If I just want to add his and maybe put region here. Now, there's a couple things you can do that it made region into shapes. That's interesting. If you double click, it'll just add it to where it thinks it should go. If you double click any of the variables over here, if you left click and drag, it'll just add it to where you tell it to. So I can add it on the rows. This one doesn't make sense, but or you can, so that was left click and drag, or you can right click and drag. And when you right click and drag, you'll have more options of how you want the variable to appear. So if you do that with a date field, for instance, you'll see there's a whole lot of different options for dates. And we'll cover these in a later lesson. But you can just look at month for now. And this is a really terrible visualization. So this is what I kind of wanted to do in this, covering this first lesson, is that it's really easy to make a visualization in Tableau. I mean, it literally takes seconds. The problem with that is that if you don't understand what's going on, it's very easy to get something that is complete. I mean, this looks like hieroglyphics, right? What is it saying? You need to be able to interpret what you're building. You need to be able to understand what the data, what the data source has before you can create a really good visualization about it. So that's the warning that I wanted to present, is don't just click and drag all these fields all around and try to get the prettiest picture. What you want to do is you want to have an idea of what it is that you're wanting to visualize. Just had a couple other things I wanted to mention here. The duplicate as crosstab. So this is a really good feature. If you right-click the sheet, instead of just duplicating the sheet, you can duplicate it as a crosstab, and that'll just create a text box that is basically the same structure if you look at the way the structure is here. But instead of having all the marks and the lines or whatever, it has just numbers in there, and it has measure names and measure values. And this is basically how you can create a text table, but you can also use these measure names and measure values for, for other things. We can make this measure values up here, and we can make measure names in the color, and now we can see profit versus quantity. So there's some features to be used with the measure names and measure values. I do recommend that you follow through with this lesson because there's definitely some other things that I'm not covering in the video. The aggregate measures, this is what I wanted to cover. So for this profit by discount, you'll notice that first let me just show you what happens when you click on a measure. When you double click on a measure, it'll come in as an aggregate. So it says sum of profit. So it's just taking the whole data set and it's summing up profit for the entire data set. You say, okay, it's 286,000. Well, that's great. But let's see sales. So we double click on that. So now it's saying your sum of profit is 286,000. Your sum of sales is, and if you hover over any point, you can see, the tooltip of the exact amount. The sales was 2.3 million. All right, but now say we want to see the relationship between these two fields. So to do that, you go up to the top, the menu at the top, and you'll see that aggregate measures is checked by default. So whenever you put a measure onto the field, it's going to aggregate it, and it's going to do so at the default level of aggregation, and that's usually always summed unless you change it. So if we click here, now instead of aggregating, it's going to give us all of the different values. So for every row, it's going to take the sum of, it's going to take the value for sales, and it's going to take the value for profit, and it's going to plot it on the chart. Now this is what you would expect the visualization to do, if you're new to Tableau. This is what I expected it to look like. And so when I got this, you can click the back area, by the way, to go back and forth. It's just like a web browser. But this is what I was expecting. When I saw this, I'm like, oh, where's my scatter plot, right? And that's how you get it. Is you unaggregate the measures, and you see a point for everything. And you can change the size so that they're not such big circles. So the one thing I'll call to your attention, and then I'm going to go ahead and finish this video and this lesson for the week, is down at the very bottom left, you see 9,994 marks, one row by one column, sum of sales. All right, so this is a good way to kind of keep track of what's going on in your your view. So if I press back, you'll notice if we go back to the aggregate version, we had one mark, one row by one column. Okay, so now when we turn off the aggregation, I don't know if unaggregate's a word, but if we turn off aggregation, you see that it gives you one mark for every row in the data set. So this is a really good feature to take advantage of. I think that's where we'll end right now. There's a couple other features here. I do recommend you go and watch a few of those getting started videos on Tableau, and be sure to if you have any problems with the getting registered or installing the software, to put something on the help forum, and I'll make sure and help you out. Okay, y'all have a good week, and I'll talk to you again next week. Thanks.